Yes, everybody, hello. Welcome to Cheddar, brought to you by HP. You're watching Cheddar Sports, where we talk everything gaming. Today, we've got a special 1-hour edition of the Overwatch League Grand Finals happening this weekend. I'm Baker Machado.
And I'm Brad Smith. Thank you so much for being here with us today. Gamers from around the globe are taking over Brooklyn, BK. Hello, Brooklyn. To compete at the Grand Finals at Barclays Center this weekend. The Philadelphia Fusion will go head-to-head against the London Spitfire. The inaugural champion of the series gets a $1 million prize. Our Cheddar Sports team was there today. Baker was there and is following the competition all weekend long.
This thing is incredible. Today was just like the taste of what we got so far today. With the fact that both of these teams knocked out two really good ones in LA and New York to have the 5th seed versus the 6th seed in this finals, and interviewing all the players, and you guys are going to see all of our interviews that we did with a lot of the players. You can tell how excited they are, but they feel very confident in winning this entire thing.
Philly, you know I'm pulling for Philly all the way.
I know you're pulling for Philly all the way.
All the time. This is a big year for us. We have this in the bag. By the way, we also wanted to say hello to all of our Twitch viewers. If you're watching us on Twitch, go ahead and hit the follow button. It's right above
over here. Right over here.
There you go. And you'll be alerted whenever we go live.
All right, guys, so much to get to today. I hope you're sitting down for the entire hour. First, let's take a look at how these two final teams, Philly and London, got to the Overwatch League Grand Finals. It was a little bit of a tough road for both of them, but our Vanessa Freeman is breaking down how Philly and London advanced to this stage at Barclays. Here's a preview. Take a look.
That's right, guys. Cheddar Sports is ready to cover the inaugural Overwatch League Grand Finals at Barclays Center in Brooklyn. And this is indeed a massive event in the world of esports. How massive, you may ask? Well, according to reports, it would be easier for you to get your hands on Elton John, even Drake tickets. Yeah, this year's event pits the Philadelphia Fusion against the London Spitfire, and we're going to show you how they got there. Starting with the Fusion, they came in as the lowest seed of the playoffs, taking on the #1 ranked New York Excelsior. New York was heavily favored, but the Fusion broke out the brooms, sweeping the best-of-3 series 2 games to none.
Primal Rage, he tries to get through with the Lucio. Sabili pops out rally, but Arc is down. There's a barrage from EQO. He's getting healed. Carpe down Mono with a big kill there. Philadelphia Fusion, they need to win this fight. New York needs it even more. But there goes Meko's back. And there goes Jonak. He swapped on the 76. And Philadelphia Fusion, have they done it? Have they set themselves to the Overwatch League Grand Finals? I think they may have. They have. Arc's the only one left there on the point. That is it. Philadelphia Fusion is going to the Grand Finals.
But the Fusion aren't the only Cinderella story in these playoffs. Oh no, the London Spitfire also shocked the 2nd ranked, the LA Valiant.
The Valiant being pushed aside. Space hooked in. Custer flying high. Now it needs to drop back down to earth. The Dragon Strike not really bothering the Spitfire too much at all. Kareem dropping in, trying to keep this one alive. The dying moments here for the Los Angeles Valiant. Fasten your seatbelts. Get your tray tables upright. London, we'll see you in New York.
So let's get started right away. Our very own Baker Machado is at the Barclays Center with Pete Bastelica, President and CEO of Activision Blizzard Esports Leagues.
Congratulations on all the success that you guys have had this year. We're at the Grand Finals. How does it feel to be in New York with two really good teams coming here?
It's thrilling, and I think that's exactly what the fans are going to see tomorrow. This is going to be a thrill ride. And we're going to expose Overwatch League and the sport to a lot of new fans tomorrow, which is really exciting. And I think when they get to Twitch or ESPN or inside the venue here and actually see this for the first time, they're going to realize how exciting it is, and they're going to realize why so many people are already paying attention to it.
Well, let's talk about ESPN. The fact that ESPN is now signed on, you got Disney as a great distribution partner for this. This league is very young. The fact that you already have ESPN on board, does that just show you the trajectory of the growth of where this is all going?
Yeah, I think it really speaks to what we tried to design when we architected this league, which was something that looked familiar to the kinds of companies and partners that are used to participating in an ecosystem around a sports league. That really hadn't existed in esports before this. You know, esports had been this kind of grassroots, bottom-up, really popular and really exciting, but but not especially well-structured industry. And so with this league, we wanted to kind of do things completely differently, go maybe a little more from the top down, and design a structure that looked like a sports league, that looked like a league that partners like sports team owners or brands or licensees or fans could look at and say like, oh, that looks familiar. I want to get involved.
Right. What are you most excited about this weekend?
The moment when we announced the starting lineups and the thousands of screaming fans in the arena here jump out of their seats and bang together their thunder sticks or just scream for their favorite team. Like, I've seen Overwatch played in front of hundreds of people. I've even seen it played in front of thousands of people, but I've never seen it played in front of this many people in such a beautiful venue. And you mentioned the stage. It's an absolutely gorgeous stage.
It's incredible.
I think it's going to knock people's socks off. And so I'm most excited about the first moment when the fans jump out of their seats and start screaming. And I don't think it's going to stop. I think it's going to be that for the entire match tomorrow, and I think we're going to get 3 matches. I think this is going to go. We're going to get maximum Overwatch this weekend.
Now you have 2 really interesting teams in there, the 5 and the 6 seed in Philadelphia and London being in this. A lot of people were probably thinking it was going to be LA and New York in this, New York being the hometown team, but like all sports, the top seeds never sometimes make it in there. Do you feel like meta and the rules with meta played a role in why we didn't see New York in here?
Well, maybe, but I think anytime you talk about meta, you have to talk about the ability to make adjustments. And I think these 2 teams, made the right adjustments to the meta and were, sort of hit their stride at exactly the right time, which happens in every sport. Players have to make adjustments throughout the seasons, from season to season. The U.S. Opens played on a different golf course every year, and the best players adjust and adapt and are the best regardless of the environment. But apart from meta, what you have are 2 very, very exciting teams with great DPS players. It's going to be an offensive shootout. It's going to be thrilling. It's exactly the right kind of matchup to bring to the fans that have followed us all year long and to expose some new fans.
And who, I'm sure you, as a parent, you love both your kids. Are you pulling for any of them in particular?
No.
Is there one in particular you think that might win it this weekend?
Yeah, one team will definitely win.
All right, you heard it here first. We'll get you out of here on this. I feel like this is just the tip of the iceberg for Overwatch League. Where do you see this going down the road?
Well, we were ambitious. I said it's happened faster than we expected it to, but we were ambitious out of the gate. We always knew or planned for this to be big. We just didn't think it would happen so quickly. But our ambition is clear. Like, we want to build a defining sports league of the 21st century, and so we'll continue to grow. We'll continue to tell great stories about our players. Maybe make some of them household names. Attract great partners who love the audience in the game as much as we do.
Where do you think that growth is going to come from? Is it distribution? Is it more teams? Where do you think that growth is going to come from?
Well, start with the fact that we haven't even moved out into our local markets yet. Like the principal innovation that we were bringing to esports, this city-based model, hasn't really even had a chance to prove itself yet. So the first phase of growth will happen once we actually move out into home markets, and you see things like this in eventually 28 arenas around the world. That we think will unlock a whole lot of fans. And then, as we add teams and in markets where we don't have teams today, we think that unlocks fans too.
Well, congratulations on a very amazing year.
Thank you.
This is great what you guys have set up out here for the fans. They're going to love it. That's Pete Plastelica. He's the president and CEO of Activision Blizzard Esports Leagues. Let's go back to you guys in the studio. By the way, I want to say, I did that interview maybe about an hour ago in Brooklyn. I got over here. That was easy for me. Major kudos to our entire Cheddar Sports team. Mike, Will, Brian, Jake, everybody that did that. That was in an hour, and we got that out there. Mazel to you guys.
Absolutely. Quick turnaround. Excellent stuff there. Guys, coming up, we're going to break down each team in this grand finals matchup, starting with the London Spitfire. Stay with us. You're watching Cheddar Sports. Welcome back to Cheddar, brought to you by HP. You are watching a special edition of Cheddar Sports. We are talking about the Overwatch Grand Finals. Joining us now is Nicole Carpenter, a reporter for .esports. Nicole, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. All right, we want you to break down the London Spitfire, but before we do that, let's hear from some of the players themselves.
All right, now we're pleased to be joined by a few of the players from the London Spitfire. Guys, congratulations on making it all the way to the finals. What does it feel like to be here?
I feel like the grand finals right now, it's the final matchup is for the underdogs. That's something very interesting and fun. And as London Spitfire, we actually had matchups in the title matches, stage title matches against Fusion as well. So going into the finals, having that rivalry again, it's very exciting.
So you're a 5 seed, you're going up against Philly, which is the 6 seed. How do you feel like you match up against them?
I think we're the two teams who really adjusted to this meta, and their DPS line is very, very good. I mean, the tank line is very good also. I think we're pretty similar in terms of skill.
What is going to be your strategy to beat Philadelphia this weekend?
Exact strategies are corporate secrets. But they think that Philly's DPS duo is very, very strong. So as long as they keep them in check, they'll be able to win.
All right, so Baker, some of the questions that you were asking to the team there. I mean, it's amazing to get some of the players' insights there.
Yes.
But
felt like Super Bowl Media Day. It was just as crazy. By the way, Nicole was there with me as well. She saw all of this firsthand as well. Nicole, I asked a bunch of the players. The fact that this is a 5 seed versus 6 seed, they knock out New York and they knock out LA. Two teams that a lot of people thought were going to be in the finals, especially in New York. So, and London, let's start with London. They have had less than a spectacular season, very up and down. Did you ever expect them to make it to the finals?
You know, if we were going off just from the start of the season, yes. They won the stage one the first stage, and from there they started going downhill. So if we're talking about the end of the season, no, I would have never guessed that it would have been London, and it's exciting to see two underdogs in the finals.
Oh, I agree.
Very exciting. Big stage for them to compete on. I mean, we talk about the broadcast partners alone in the U.S., ESPN, major network. How do you feel about the growth of Overwatch League, getting some of these partnerships?
Yeah, it's been huge. The growth of the Overwatch League hasn't really been organic, so people were worried that it wouldn't, scale up how they wanted to. And the ESPN deal has kind of shown that it has. People in the beginning were worried that viewership wouldn't be there, and the ESPN deal is bringing in a massive amount of viewers who maybe wouldn't get into Overwatch League otherwise.
Let's talk about them in particular. They said both teams said they match up very well against each other. In many ways, they thought that they were almost perfect to go up against each other. Tell us a little about the strengths that we see in London. What are they really good at?
Yeah, London focuses their team around two of their DPS players, their damage dealers, Prophet and Birdring. So in the current meta, it favors the DPS heroes, the Widowmaker and the Hanzo. And Prophet and Birdring are the strongest Hanzo and Widowmaker out there. So going into the match against Fusion, they're going to be playing around Prophet and Birdring. Of course, Philly has two very, very, very strong DPS players as well. So in that regard, they are very, very, very well matched. But I'm giving the edge to Prophet and Birdring.
Okay, and where do you feel like they struggle the most? Because again, they've had a really up and down season. Where do you feel like is one vulnerability that a team like Philly can take advantage of?
Yeah, Philly kind of thrives on the chaos of the matches, and they're really flexible. London's flexible too, but Philly, they're emotional. They make decisions on the fly, and they're going along with the chaos of the match, and they kind of thrive in that chaotic environment. And London, they struggled. Philly did too, but I think Philly has the edge when it comes to chaos.
When we look at Philadelphia Fusion, staying with them for a second, number 6 seed, had to take down the number 1 seed. I mean, are they prepared at this point? Are they tried, tested, proven, and are they the heavy favorite going into this?
I'm not sure if they're the heavy favorite.
Okay.
They're my favorite.
They're your favorite.
Yeah, I think that they have the momentum going into this. They've been on a really great run over the playoffs, and they beat the number 1 team in the league. That says a lot about their strengths, and they're They're prepared. I talked to them today about the structure. They've implemented a lot more discipline than they had earlier in their team. They're trying to kind of tamper down on the emotion that they bring to the games that creates the highs and the lows.
Yeah.
But while still keeping up like the ability to react to these crazy things that happen in game.
Is that something that we see similarly in traditional sports versus esports, and where they really come together? Because you've seen, even in the playoffs for some of the NBA finals or the NFL, these emotional wins even taking a toll, or emotional losses taking a toll on teams going into the next big game. Is that similar in esports as well?
Oh, totally, yeah. There was a team earlier in the season, they went on this amazing win streak where they didn't lose for a whole stage, and that momentum going forward was what helped them get there. And I think Philly's building up to that kind of thing for their playoff run.
The entire Barclays Center is completely sold out for this. It went sold out super quick. For those that are going to probably be watching maybe their first Overwatch game for the first time, this being the first finals ever, what are some names for people to watch looking forward to the weekend that play for London?
For London, we're going with Profit and Birdring. They are the DPS hero. They're the DPS champions. They're going to be leading the team. The team is going to be working around them. Everything is on the backs of Profit and Birdring.
Absolutely. And then in terms of securing a site like what we've seen taking place at the Barclays, what's the significance of that? I mean, as we're watching some of these mega sports arenas become the new host sites for events like this.
Yeah, there is a huge potential fan base that maybe doesn't know about Overwatch, and having these kind of arenas backing this gives it this sort of a legitimacy. I don't like to say that it gives it legitimacy, because I don't think that esports needs, the numbers show it.
Right.
But for some people who, these kind of high-profile events do bring legitimacy for others.
Net new fans.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the meta for a moment, because a lot of people were talking about that today at the press day, saying that was a clear advantage for both London and for Philadelphia in terms of their wins, their upset wins over New York and Los Angeles. Do you agree with that? Do you think the meta was one of the reasons why we saw LA and New York get knocked out?
Yeah, especially with regards to New York. New York is extremely good. They are, #1 seed, and they didn't adapt to the meta. They played dive composition. They struggled against Philadelphia, who played the current meta, and I think the meta has a huge impact on what we're coming into the finals with.
All right, last question. Last chance, because we're going to hold you to this video forever. Who's winning this weekend?
Well, I'm going with Philly.
Okay, and why? Why? Just one really quickly. Why?
They're building on that emotion. That emotion. This is a huge stage, maybe a bigger stage than any of the players have played on before, and I think that's something that could hurt or give them success.
All right, as a Philly native,
He's very excited. He loves that noise. He loves to hear anytime Philly wins is in a sentence.
Definitely. Nicole Carpenter, reporter for .esports, joining us here today on Cheddar Sports.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for the time.
Thank you.
All right, guys, coming up, we had the chance to interview both the Chief Financial Officer and the President of the Philadelphia Fusion. Don't miss it. We'll explain after this when Cheddar Sports returns. Welcome back, everybody. You're watching Cheddar, brought to you by HP. You're watching a special edition of Cheddar Sports today, a full hour edition of our show today where we're talking everything about the Overwatch Grand Finals happening here in New York City, or really Brooklyn, this weekend. Earlier today, the Cheddar Sports team was at the Barclays Center for Media Day, and I spoke with Tucker Roberts, who's the president of the Philadelphia Fusion, and Joe Marsh, the CFO of the Fusion. They talked to me about their team and the growth of the Overwatch League and a whole lot more. Take a look, guys. Tucker, let's talk about this. What does it feel like to be in New York, being in Philly, being in New York for this finals?
It's humid.
Yes, it's very humid. Not different than what you guys are accustomed to in Philly.
No. Actually, this is an incredible experience for everybody, for the whole team. It's a lot for a lot of them. It's their first time in New York City at all. For me, this is the biggest esport event I've ever been to. It's unbelievable that our team has got this far.
Right.
Given that a lot of analysts pegged us to finish 8th, not even make the playoffs. We missed preseason, so we've kind of been playing catch up all season. But once we started to come together, we turned out to be one of the best teams in the league, and one more team to go, and we can win this thing.
Right, and being a 5 seed, getting in traditional sports, 5 seeds don't make it to the finals very often.
Yeah.
So this is kind of amazing. What was the feeling like, Joe, watching the last game against New York, knocking New York, the home team, out of this to be here?
Well, I think it was fitting because we went to a Mat 5, which is like, we've been known all season to go to Mat 5s and guys kind of take it to the brink. So to be able to clinch and sweep New York, it was awesome. Like, Philadelphia, this season, 2018 has been a year where Philly's won championships, so to be able to go and compete for another title for the city, it's just awesome.
Yeah, you got the Eagles, the Phillies are in first place in baseball. You guys are in the finals. It's a good Philly year, or time to be a Philly fan. Talk about the rapid growth. You were saying earlier, this is a new team, this is a new league. The fact that there's been so much growth, now ESPN is in the picture.
Yeah.
I mean, just talk about the rapid growth that's been going on the last 2 years.
Yeah, I think esports has been growing across the board at a really unprecedented clip, but Overwatch has really come in and within the industry shaken things up tremendously, and is set the bar really high for production value, for the fan experience, for little things like minimum salaries for players and a path to pro. They've done so many things right. And the fans are rabid for this. They're loving it, and things I think we've on Twitch have been crushing it. And like you said, adding ESPN just puts it over the top. It's really a premier network, and so that gives us a lot more reach into audiences that maybe would have never seen Overwatch on digital. And so I think this has been a great year for not only esports but obviously the Overwatch League, and we're really excited to cap it off at the big finals, and then next year I think it's just going to continue to snowball and keep growing.
And Joe, let's talk about the corporate parts of all of this. Comcast basically owns the team as well. We've been seeing a lot of big corporations getting involved in esports as well. What do you think is it about the Overwatch League and esports in general that attracts somebody like Comcast to be a part of this?
I think it's about reaching the demographic that's been unreachable. A lot of the demo is they have ad blockers up and you're not able to reach them. So to be able to invest in something that they're actively seeking out and watching on Twitch and other streaming services, and now if you transition that to linear TV with the ESPN deal, I think they just realize that it's a good area to target a new demographic of consumers that they're going to guide through the next 50 years.
Where do you see Overwatch going, and where do you see this esports thing going? So many people are trying to compare it to other sports league, and it's impossible because it's just grown so fast, so quickly. Where do you see this going?
Right. No, I think that's a good point. It does have a lot of parallels to traditional sports, and we have traditional sports background with Spectacor and owning the Flyers and venue management, ticketing, sponsorship sales. There's a lot of overlap, but there's a lot of things that are entirely different. And at the end of the day, what's great about esports and kind of uncaps it is that kids are playing video games today. When they get home from school, they play video games. Do they play other sports? Sure, but it's a lot more convenient to play video games with your friends than it is to all go pick up a basketball and play. And when you move away from each other, it's really convenient to continue to stay in touch. And if that's the medium that you interact with your friends through, you're naturally going to be interested in seeing the best in the world compete in those games that you play. And so that's what's happened with Overwatch League, and it's a global sport is the other thing. It's not like a regional thing. it's 40 million players from every single country you can think of.
Right.
And it's it's a co-ed sport too. So you're talking about Guguri. She's the first female Overwatch League player.
Mm-hmm.
She will not be the last. There's many more to come, and they get paid just as much as the men.
Right.
And they that's a huge deal for female competitors. They want to get the same equal treatment and pay.
And you guys have really pushed diversity, inclusiveness, all of this stuff on the platform, much harder than a lot of other leagues are as well, which, congratulations on that. That's great.
Thank you.
And how important do you feel like that plays a role in all of this?
I think it's critical. I think at its core, not just Overwatch, which is built for inclusion as well, but video games and esports are designed to give everyone a level playing field. I like to give the example that, I can't dunk. I'm not 7 feet tall. I probably wasn't going to make it in the NBA. And it's not too late.
Not yet. Not
too late, guys.
Exactly.
Curry broke out later in his career, right? So, that's the aspiration for the next generation, is to say, why not me? Why can't I compete? And that's the exciting thing about why we want to push inclusion, is because we have all sorts of body types on our team. And video games gives everybody a chance to compete and have it be about their determination and their skill and their leadership qualities, and not just their genetics and how they ended up, whether or not they're tall and strong.
Totally. And Joe, from an investor's perspective, how do you keep investors interested in this, and especially in Overwatch, when there's so many other games out there in esports?
Well, I think the good thing about Overwatch, you've seen it this year, is they change the meta every stage. They're also adding new characters and maps, so they're keeping the game fresh. So when you have a developer and a game developer behind the actual league and the game itself, they're going to keep making it fresh and keep you wanting to come back and do more. And it's not just going to be a stale, it was out of the box and that's it. They're going to keep continuing improving on it and make you want to keep investing in it and making the investment long term.
All right, so last question. We'll get you out of here on this. How bad do you guys think you guys are going to win this weekend? I know you don't want to jinx it, but do you guys feel like you have a great shot to win it this weekend?
I do. I think it's going to be a really close match, and I think we've got a great chance to win it. I would love for our guys, for all the work they've put in, to actually cap off the season, but either way, just being here is a huge achievement. Nobody picked us to beat New York, and we were able to beat them. I think now maybe the guys, they want to prove that wasn't a fluke and that they really are the best team. And so to do it here in such a large audience, I think would be pretty great.
I mean, you guys have all the momentum behind your backs. Keep it going. Congratulations again on your guys' success. And so many more amazing things coming in for the future for you guys. That's Tucker Roberts. He's the president. And Joe Marsh. He's the CFO of the Philadelphia Fusion, who, of course, are playing this weekend in the grand finals at the Barclays Center. Let's go back to you guys in the studio. Really interesting stuff, Baker Machado. Thank you so much. Interesting talking to those guys.
Yeah.
This team is not even barely a year old, and
crazy.
they're already making it into the finals. So I like the idea of talking to teams that are humbled by the idea that they're there, the fact that they knew that they knocked out who was supposed to be the winner of this tournament. Everybody expected New York to be the team that was going to be the home team in this entire tournament, and Philly's the one that knocks them out. So it was cool to kind of see this team that's very humbled, but also they were really talking and promoting inclusiveness, diversity, that they say that this is going to be a club that's going to proactively go after women and minorities, and everybody has a seat at the table on this team. So it was kind of cool to kind of get all of that, because it's different. I've covered Super Bowls, I've covered World Series, and this was totally different because it felt just like it felt like those in the same way that people are excited for the finale, but it also felt so different than all of those.
But from a Greater Philadelphians perspective, it carries the thread that we've seen all year long, which is that nobody picked us to win. This underdog mentality that has really permeated even into esports right now.
But Philly people, they know they were going to win it from the get-go, so that's why they're
also pretty
humble. They're humble, but very confident.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we saw the T-shirt. You saw that as well. Philly against the world. We'll see what happens. I love the fact that, as well as we're watching more viewership be thrown at this. We talked about the deal with ESPN and how that's going to add even more viewership, bring on more net new viewers and fans over to esports, and allow that much more of an opportunity for the fan base to grow up. It'll be interesting to see where this goes, and where major cities, where we're looking at New York, London, Philadelphia, what that means as opposed to some of these smaller market cities trying to field teams as well, where that's been amazingly important on the traditional, historical sports side. Is it the same in esports? And I think time will tell.
My favorite part of this whole media day, we'll button up with this, is apparently they got into their hotel rooms really late last night.
Yeah.
Apparently their fire alarms were going off between the hours of 1 and 4:30 in the morning. So none of the players had slept before they had talked to me, including the management. So I'm sure they were very happy to hear my voice and talk to me.
There you go. Guys, coming up, we spoke to the coach and players of the Fusion at Barclays. Stay with us. You don't want to miss that. Welcome back to Cheddar, brought to you by HP. You're watching a special edition of Cheddar Sports, where we're talking about the Overwatch Grand Finals. It's now time to break down the Philadelphia Fusion. My smile just got a little bit wider. We got to speak with some of the players and the head coach over at the Barclays Center. Let's check it out.
All right, we're pleased to be joined again by our buddy Fraggy from the Philadelphia Fusion. When we talked to you a few weeks ago, by the way, you have amazing predictions. We talked to you a few weeks ago, and you were telling us you thought you would have been a good matchup for New York. Sure enough, here you are right here. What made you think that you were such a good matchup for them?
So as I said before, I think the meta that was in the finals really favored us. New York, and they were a bit stronger before, but not too strong right now.
And it's so funny that you mentioned meta, because a lot of people are talking about that being unfavorable to New York. Do you think that was the case?
Yeah, that's the case. I think they were really strong in the meta that was prevalent during the season. The Winston Tracer meta. They were really good with the dive, but with the Origin stuff, not so good.
And what did you guys do that was so effective against New York?
It was mostly adapting really well to the changes and having good hero combination switches and stuff like that.
All right, now we're pleased to be joined by EQO of the Philadelphia Fusion. How excited are you to be here, man?
I'm super excited. You know, this is one of the dreams I had since a child, and I'm obviously, making it true right now.
Well, let's go back to that amazing upset that you guys did of New York. I mean, what was that like to knock out, the top seed that a lot of people were expecting to be at this finals in Brooklyn?
I mean, I don't think, a lot of people experience how it is to be the underdog and just, beating the team everyone likes. I mean, I guess, it would like seem weird, but I feel like, very, happy that I got to knock out New York. Like everyone, thinks they're gonna win, and then you knock them out. And I kind of like happy that I can, shut down their fans. So
I love it. So because you guys have played this underdog role throughout most of this, do you feel like that gives you added fuel going into the finals?
I mean, I definitely think we have like a lot of fuel, going to the finals. I feel like this whole, year, we've been struggling to prove ourselves, every time there's like doubt about our team, like, oh, are they gonna perform this time, or they're not. And coming into the playoffs, we had a lot of, no one had a lot of expectations of us. And so proving ourselves, against New York, against Boston, meant a lot. And it's like not over yet, We're going to prove ourselves against London too, and we're going to do, our best possible.
All right, now we're pleased to be joined by Kirby of the Philadelphia Fusion. Kirby, congratulations on making it all the way over here, man.
Thank you.
How does it feel like to be in the finals?
It feels great. A lot of people didn't think we'd be able to make it, but we're here and we're really looking to actually win this.
Well, I was going to say, how does it feel to not only not be here in New York for the grand finals, but knocking out New York to get here?
That was kind of great.
Yeah,
a cherry on the top.
What was your strategy to knocking New York out?
I think the meta right now and what needs to be played by the teams just kind of fit our guys. So we kind of rolled with that. We had a few extra kind of cards up our sleeve with the swaps that we did with Hoppa in there. So we kind of stuck to what's really good right now in terms of that, and it worked out so well.
Are you nervous for the weekend? Are you doing anything? Are you sleeping okay? Are there any sort of things that are keeping you up at night in preparation for this?
This has been obviously like a very chaotic process to go from Burbank to here in 2 days, and it definitely disrupts like the usual practice schedule that we've had the entire year. But overall, this entire preparation has been kind of front loaded for the playoffs. So we had a few weeks going into the first match, and we're kind of continuing what we built at that time.
But just think of the growth that's been going on. I mean, so much of this is obviously focused in LA, but the finals being here, this league is so new. Are you excited about the endless possibilities of what's coming up for Overwatch?
Very, very excited. Obviously, once this was announced, it became very obvious that Blizzard was going to put a lot of support behind this league. So we're very excited about this idea of geo-localization and supporting, representing the city of Philadelphia. We have some great fans over there. So I think every single time we did a trip over there to Philly, a lot of fans showed up. So that kind of confirmed this entire idea as a concept. So we're really happy about it.
He's right. Philadelphia does have the best fans. I agree.
Yes, just like you. That's why you're rooting for Philly this weekend. So that we just talked to Kirby and a bunch of the other players right there. Kirby, we just showed you guys the coach of the Philadelphia Fusion. Really reserved, obviously.
Yes.
Doesn't want to put too much expectations or pressure on his team.
Yeah.
But he said to me over and over again, even off camera, listen, I think we match up very well against this team. This is a team that we have a lot of similar players. We are underdogs also. The fact that you're going up against, you have a 5 and a 6 seed going up against each other. They just match up well, and they match up much differently than New York and LA would have.
Well, I think it comes back to the emotional factor too. When you look at so many of these teams, the esports players are carrying themselves the same way as, dare I say, a LeBron James, where they know if it's an extremely emotional game, win or loss, that they're coming off of. We saw what happened in the NBA Finals Game 1, where that was an emotional loss. Same case here. If you're able to preserve your emotions, carry a cool, calm, and collected manner, you're that much more mentally prepared for the next big test that is at hand. And for the Philadelphia Fusion, they want to make sure that they're not rattled going into this.
And by the way, it could be easy to be rattled. I think you're right in regards to that, because I saw the stage of where they're going to be performing, and this was like, we were showing you guys basically what their normal stage looks like when these guys compete against each other. This was on steroids. This was incredible. I don't want to give too much away, because obviously Overwatch wants this to be a surprise for the fans when they see it this weekend. But it was more grand than a Taylor Swift concert.
Wow.
It was beyond impressive.
How many Taylor Swift concerts?
I've been to 3, and that was more impressive.
This tops them all.
I think they hadn't even started playing yet, and just the spectacle of where the TV was at and the screens were at, and how they have the booth set up for where they're playing, it was really impressive.
So, big thing here. We know advertisers are going to be diving into this as an opportunity, especially as the stadiums realize that they can bring more of the businesses that they already work with back into these types of settings. Do you see that happening and it doubling, quadrupling next year?
Yeah, I asked that to the CEO earlier of Activision Blizzard. I said, in addition to maybe expanding and bringing in more cities, especially internationally, listen, there's only one stadium and it's in LA. Do you want to build more stadiums? And he said, absolutely. The fact that this league is still so brand new and so many people every single day are still just learning to figure out what this is, the growth in this is going to be exponential, and then they want to have a stadium here in New York, and then they want to have it in local communities, and then they want to continue to expand internationally. Except for the NHL, this is really the only league out there that has teams and clubs in the United States facing teams and clubs internationally.
Oh, yeah.
So, the growth for this is going to be spectacular. All right, coming up, guys, we break down the Fusion Squad's chances to win it all this weekend. Stay with us. Cheddar Sports rolls on right after this. Yes, everybody, welcome back to Cheddar, brought to you by HP. You're watching a special edition of Cheddar Sports, a full hour edition of the show today, where we're talking everything about the Overwatch Grand Finals here in New York City. We're pleased to be joined by our Cheddar Sports analyst, Mr. Will Havercroft. Will, joining us from our control room at Cheddar headquarters. Will, by the way, you've worked so hard all day today. We went to Media Day earlier today. You're not done yet. We still have lots of things to talk to you about.
Nope, not done yet. Now I'm on camera talking to you guys as well.
All right, so Will, break down Philadelphia Fusion for us. We talked about London earlier earlier in the hour. Talk about what makes Philadelphia such a good team.
So this new change in the meta actually worked to favor Philadelphia Fusion. They originally were playing with a lot more tanks on their team. We spoke with guys like Fraggy who were playing tankier characters. They were working the meta there, but with this new change, we've seen a lot more champions playing DPS characters. So we're seeing guys playing Hanzo, we're seeing guys playing Widowmaker, we're seeing a lot more damage-focused champions, which actually is really working out well for them. They also have a specific dive strategy, so they are very aggressive. This is going to be a really interesting matchup against London Spitfire because the both of them actually play very similarly. But we are rooting for Philadelphia Fusion personally, and we think that they will come away with the win.
Do you think Spitfire hasn't already tried to adjust its game plan, knowing what Philly's going to try and throw at them?
I think they are trying to adjust, but again, we spoke with them today. A lot of the players were extremely confident in how they were going to play. It was really interesting because you have two teams that were the lowest seeds. These guys were extremely confident. They all thought that they were always going to make it to the grand finals. So we're expecting them to adjust a little bit, but we're really thinking that the two of them are going to have a great matchup, and it should be a really interesting game to watch.
Let's go back to the meta of all of this. Of course, for those that don't know very much about the meta, it's essentially like this, it'd be like the NFL game, and at the beginning, before the game even started, the league and the officials changed all the rules before the game even started. So that's essentially meta in regards to this. How much of did that play a part in the fact that this team got there now, and will it play a part this weekend at all?
So it's interesting because a lot of people said that it actually didn't affect it very much. They argued that the teams that got there because they played extremely well, which of course they did. But I do believe that the change in the meta was greatly favored for the Philadelphia Fusion and for the London Spitfire. These are two teams that were not good in the beginning of the season, and after these changes were made, they got to play heroes that were better for their teams, and they've been playing better ever since. So we spoke with a lot of people that said that that did not affect these teams, but I would personally argue that it definitely did.
You know, Will, we've been diving into a lot of the terminology, a lot of the teams throughout today's show and prior shows as well. But for a platform where we're seeing this going to be streamed, we're going to see this be broadcast rather via ESPN, how do they make sure as they're going after net new fans for esports and for Overwatch that they don't lose out on them and make sure that they're communicating this clearly? What do they need to do to make sure that the fans don't miss out on new fans for the game?
I think they just need to make sure that the spectacle of the event is really grand, and we had a chance to get a sneak preview of what the arena looked like. It's incredible. It's really amazing. It's going to be so cool to be there. It's going to be so cool to see these guys up on stage. So I think for people that don't really know very much about the game, it's going to be all about the excitement. It's going to be about filling a big arena, really getting everybody engaged and involved, and making sure they understand what's going on. They also will have casters there. Golden Boy will be there. We'll have plenty of people there breaking down the game, explaining exactly what's going on. These guys do a great job of getting the audience really involved, really engaged, and getting everybody up to speed. There's going to be tons of viewers on Twitch, tons of viewers on Mixer. So the fact that they're also streaming to these cable networks now, it's incredible to see how much Overwatch can grow after this.
All right, and Will, we'll get you out of here in this less than 10 seconds. Who's winning?
Philadelphia Fusion.
Philadelphia Fusion. Nicole Carpenter and Will both saying Philadelphia. All right, Will Havercroft, our Cheddar Sports analyst. Great work today, Will. Thank you so much. And coming up, we met with our good old friend, Golden Boy, and got his thoughts for the weekend. Who's he picking? Is he picking Philly as well? We're going to have a trifecta. That and so much more. Don't go anywhere, guys. All right, we're back at the Barclays Center for the grand finals happening this weekend for the Overwatch League. We're joined, of course, by our colleague at Cheddar Sports, Mr. Golden Boy himself. Talked to so many interesting players for this game that's happening this weekend. 5 versus 6, Philadelphia versus London. And what's so funny is all the players said, we knew that we could make it here, but they seem very surprised that they got here based on the fact that they had to beat New York and LA to get
Well,
there.
They should. I mean, I don't know if you remember when we had Cheddar Sports a little while ago. I basically said, like, I'd be shocked if NYXL doesn't make it.
Right.
I'd be shocked if the Valiant doesn't make it when we talked to Custa, right? And here we are, you know. I'm not surprised because I know that the 12 players on this team are really good.
Yep.
But am I like kind of caught off guard? Yeah,
yes.
a little bit.
But do you feel like it changes things a little bit to have this grand finals here in New York City, and New York's not even part of all of this?
Yeah, but hey, right? The Super Bowl happens, you know, all across the country, and you know the teams are never a part of that, right? I think what's important about this final is that it is a celebration of Overwatch. It is a celebration of Overwatch League, and that's what everyone's coming out for. Would it have been amazing for NYXL to play in front of a New York crowd? Without a doubt, we would have seen that regional factor play into this for New York's favor 100%. But because, you know, this is the situation, I think now everyone's just going to go nuts for some quality Overwatch.
Totally, absolutely. And it seems like it's going to be an amazing matchup.
Yeah.
Talking to both teams, they feel like they match up against each other pretty well. Give us your kind of preview of what to expect this weekend.
I think that, you know, London is a very aggressive team that can exploit a lot of weaknesses, but the good thing about Philadelphia is that they don't, right now, they're not showing any weaknesses. Beating a team like the New York Excelsior is no easy feat, and I feel like Philly they have the it factor. London, on the other hand, if you tell me, look, at the end of the day, we've been telling everyone, they've asked me the question who I think's going to win. I've been saying Philly. But if London won, I just would not be shocked. This is not going to be a grand final like you'd see at other esports events where one team is clearly better than the other.
Right.
I do truly believe that these two teams, as you said, Baker, are equally matched, and we could end up going to a third best of 5 for sure.
Interesting. That would be an amazing. And by the way, the whole playoffs have been amazing by both of these teams. And so having that sort of a grand final of going that far would be amazing. Are there any players or strategies to keep an eye out for this weekend that you're keeping a watch on?
For right now, I would say on the Philly side, just keep an eye on EQO. He's going to be the player. He's going to be a big playmaker for the Fusion. And on the London side, I mean, I guess you could say Prophet. I guess you could say Jester. There are some quality players on the tank and the DPS line there that I think could really make some waves. As far as meta is concerned, as far as like what we're going to see, I don't know because for all I know, they figured out something else and they're going to bust that out at the finals. Like I do believe that all the cards have not been shown in the playoffs. I do think we're going to get some surprises in the grand finals.
You're calling this game this weekend.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm the stage host.
Yes,
I'm the stage
but
host.
how do you
I'm
prepare
here.
for something like this?
I don't know, honestly. You know, being from New York, I live a few stops away from here. This is like a dream come true. This is a dream come true. And honestly, I just don't know like what to expect. But when you see the stage, it is massive.
So you've seen the stage already?
I've seen the stage already. I have to go do rehearsal in a little bit.
Give us a taste. What can viewers expect to see on the stage?
Enormity.
Enormity.
It is massive. Okay, the stage is huge, and then like walking out and seeing the crowd, like all those seats. I can't even put the words.
By the way, 85% of all the stadiums this year were sold out. This entire event is completely sold out too. So it's going to be bananas this entire weekend.
Yeah.
We'll get you out of here on this. You said you think Philadelphia could win it, might win it, but London could possibly win it.
Yeah.
Why do you think Philly's going to take it?
I just think they're a flexible team. They're a flexible team that can adapt very quickly, and I think that is going to be the difference maker for them. But game one is going to be the thing to look out for. Who is nervous? Because here's the thing. Again, this is not like the Blizzard Arena. This is the Blizzard Arena times 1,000. It's huge. So this is a whole new ball game for these players. And when they walk out there, they're going to feel that pressure. So game one, who's the team that caves first? That's going to be really telling.
All right, we're going to get his recap on the next edition of Cheddar Sports for sure on everything. That's Golden Boy. He's picking Philly for all of it. Let's go back to you guys in the studio. Oh, that's me. Hi, Baker Bachata. All right, so Golden Boy's picking Philly.
Yes.
Nicole Carpenter's picking Philly. Will Havercroft, our Cheddar Sports analyst, is picking Philly.
You're picking?
I'll pick Philly just to keep it going. And I know you're definitely picking Philly. So all 5 of us picking Philly Fusion for the big grand finals.
Philly, Philly, dilly, dilly. All right. That'll do it for Cheddar Sports this week. But tune in next Thursday. We got to play the newest Spider-Man game on PS4, and we're going to show you all the footage next week. That's at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And coming up, we'll count you down to the market close, plus earnings from Amazon, Chipotle, Starbucks. After the bell. Don't go anywhere. You're watching Cheddar.
Keep fighting, guys. You're good. Dance party. Quick flash mob.
All hell just broke loose.
Knocked one. Got them. They're dead.
Talk, or I'll crush every bone in your body.
That literally went right over your head.
Can you take him out?
Yeah.
He's gonna save me.
Watch out!
Oh, I just got a sick sniper shot.
Going us for down.
They see me.
I got him. He dropped behind the house.
Booyah!